Of all the books that I've read about philosophy, theology, self-help, anything that relates to trying to solve your problems as an individual, one of my favorites is still the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I think that it's a shame that the only time anyone's exposed to this literature is if they're suffering from alcoholism or addiction, because I really believe that some of the core tenets and principles can be helpful to just about anybody who is suffering from any kind of issues in their lives, because it's just immensely helpful, and I use it for almost every aspect. I find myself turning back to this book for things that are not anywhere near related to alcoholism. And in fact, I don't think this book has anything to do with alcoholism. I think what it does is, once you get alcohol and drugs out of the way, it's all about looking inward and reconstructing yourself into the person that you want to be, so that you can handle life on life's terms. And there's one specific line that always stuck with me. It's on page 164, and it's in relation to turning yourself over to God, but that's not what the line, that's not what I want to focus on. The line says, "The answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got." Think about that. So basically, there's a lot of men that, for whatever reason, they're going through some great crisis in their life. For me, it was drugs and alcohol. And they managed to overcome that. That is epic. Imagine that, if you're just like a gutter drunk and you're going to die drunk and alone, or you're a drug addict, or you have some sort of other issue. Maybe you're an agoraphobic or shut-in. Maybe you are addicted to spending. Maybe you're a sex addict. There's just a ton of things that we can be afflicted by. And if you manage to overcome that, that is just, it's beyond awesome. I don't even have words to describe how hard that is. And a lot of people, they're never able to overcome it. So if you are, that's great. But it leaves you with the question, what do you do now? Well, a lot of guys, they never work on themselves. They remove the issue. They remove the crutch. Alcohol is a Band-Aid. Drugs are a Band-Aid. All these issues that we have, they're a Band-Aid that covers up unresolved things, maybe from our childhood, maybe from past traumas, whatever. And I don't know, they never work on themselves, and they really kind of become toxic people. I wanted to focus on what I'm seeing with men, especially since the shutdown happened. I've noticed that men are more angry, they're jealous, they're resentful, they're just toxic people. They haven't worked on themselves, and they try to push their stuff on other people. I see it in the workplace. I especially see it online. Online is just horrible. Ever since this lockdown started, what we've had a bunch of guys that are just stuck at home. The gyms are closed, and their social circles have been disrupted. They no longer have fellowship, and they've kind of turned to the internet to become their family and their community. And that's a toxic environment. It doesn't encourage things that we're talking about. It doesn't encourage self-help. It doesn't encourage individual responsibility. All it encourages is getting views, getting laughs, and getting clicks, and whatever behavior you're doing online that's getting you this, it's the same thing as taking drugs. Like, say you make a short video and it gets 1,000 views, and you get excited. Oh my God, that's never happened before. And that's the same thing as taking a pill. There's a dopaminergic reaction in the brain. And if you look at the studies, it shows that it's almost the same thing as taking drugs. And so you're going to repeat that behavior because it gave you that good feeling. And the internet's just set up to cater to that. I even get involved. I got obsessed with it for a while, until I recognized the fact that I'm like, oh, every time I do this, every time I engage in this behavior, it's exactly the same as taking a drink. That's what I had to equate it to. And it just, it actually makes your problems worse. We get lost online, and We no longer are participating in real life. Real life for a lot of people becomes this tiny little screen we're staring at. They live and die by the comments section. They're obsessed by it. They're just stuck in it. And it's like we forget that there's a real world out there. The other thing is like, if you are a drug addict or an alcoholic or somebody suffering from any one of those other issues that I mentioned, and you do overcome those, there's a lot of guys that try to present themselves as these, wise sages that are full of wisdom, and they want to impart their wisdom to the world. And that brings me back to that original sentence. You can't transmit something you don't have. If you haven't fixed yourself, if you haven't worked on yourself and fixed your problems, honestly, I got to tell you, you don't really have any business trying to solve other people's or trying to impart wisdom to other people. The big thing that this book gave me is humility. And, that's just something that I struggle with on a daily basis, trying to be humble, because I also suffer from these issues. I also have ego issues. I am sensitive. I do get hurt when people make negative comments. And I also find myself getting stuck in that trap of doing things to try to please the internet instead of doing things that are going to be healthy and helpful and beneficial to me long term. A good example is programming. Programming is rigid, especially when you're trying to prepare for a meet. You have to be very specific, you have to be very dedicated, and you have to make sure that you're doing things on point. But then you look at that and you're like, well, I can't post that. It's not exciting to show like my deloads. It's not exciting to show like, rep ranges. People want to see excitement. They want to see big lifts. They want to see you lift as much as you can. You got to constantly do something that's impressive. So instead of doing my back down sets and programming like I should be, which is mediocre lifting and incremental progression, undulating periodization, which means that some of those rep ranges are not going to look all that impressive, I want to put more weight on the bar. I want to try to go as heavy as I can because, I went heavy last week, but I got to go heavier. I said I could squat 590 pounds, but I haven't done that in like a couple months, and I need to do that right now because they're saying I can't do it. And it's just stupid. It's stupid because what it does is it derails me from my goals. Now I'm serving the internet instead of what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is prepare for a powerlifting meet that's a few months out, and I'm not where I need to be because of periodization. Things go in waves. We go hard and heavy, but the human body is not designed to progress in a linear fashion forever. You just can't keep going up and up and up and up and up. There has to be a point where you back off and do something different. There has to be a point where you have to change those rep ranges up. There's a point where you have to do different exercises. And it's not very exciting. It's not fun to watch. Unless you're super into the process and you know what you're watching, the average viewer is not going to find that very exciting. So what I'm really talking about is like, just don't get stuck in the trap of serving online. Now, the problem with modern man, as far as I can tell, is we have just become this sniveling, low testosterone, resentful, angry, childish, ignorant, indignant. We don't look to ourselves to solve our own problems. We blame other people. We are jealous of what other people have. And it's just turned men into this toxic soup that nobody really wants to deal with. This world needs good men. This world needs leaders. And it's like, how do you fix that? How do you change that? And the answer is always look inwards. It starts with the individual. So back to the big book. What does the big book say? The big book essentially has 12 steps. And those 12 steps are really designed to take a problem, get it out of the way, and then work on yourself to fix the reason why you had that problem in the first place. Well, think about it. The first step is you admit the problem. I admit I'm an alcoholic. I admit I'm a drunk. The second thing is you kind of turn yourself over to, we'll say, an expert, somebody who's had that problem, somebody who's gone through what you've gone through, somebody that can help guide you. You turn yourself over to a power greater than yourself. Maybe it's God, maybe it's a group of people, maybe it's a therapy thing, whatever that is. You have a problem, and you're admitting that you need help. Then, all the rest of the steps are all about looking at yourself. You take inventory. For me, I had to go down a list and find all the people I had done wrong to, all the people that hurt me, and I had to look at all of that crap from my childhood going up to this day, all the stuff that bothers me when I sleep, the things I think about. I had to list all that ugly stuff, and I had to confront it. Then when I confronted it, I realized, I'm the issue. I'm the one that has the problems. The one consistent with everything that's ever happened in my life is me. You know what I mean? I'm the one that's always been there through all the problems. So I just think to myself, well, am I the issue? Those guys were jerks. Those guys did me wrong. They're the bad people. They hurt me. And I have to look at myself. Well, okay, what's your part in it? What did you do to invite that? After you break yourself down, you take your inventory, and then you start to build yourself back up again. You list your character defects. Am I resentful? Am I angry? Am I spiteful? Do I manipulate people to get what I want? Am I that guy at work where I'll secretly undermine people to get a promotion, or, whatever your character defects are? Am I quick to anger? Do I blame other people for my problems? And then you start chipping away at it. You chip away at those character defects, and it doesn't mean they're not going to happen again. If anything, the internet's taught me that I am far from a perfect person. Every time somebody makes a negative comment or a crappy video about me, I'm tempted to look at it or comment. And I don't. I'm like, okay, no, we're staying away from that. They can do their thing. It doesn't matter. That's a distraction. Stay away. But then every once in a while I do comment, and I find myself enjoying it. And then I comment again because I'm like, yeah, now we're talking. And then I'm like, oh, damn it, I did it again. And I got to back out or erase them, or, get back on the right track. Get away from that toxic stuff, because that is noise that derails me from what I'm trying to accomplish. And that's the same thing in life. When I'm at work, I'm dealing with colleagues, and a lot of them are the sick people themselves. They are resentful, they're manipulative, and they will, try to run you over to get their way. It's the exact same thing. I have to look at my part in every situation and make sure that no matter what happens to me, I'm not participating in that. You have to be above that. The modern man, 100% of our problems are solved by turning inwards and looking at ourselves as the cause of the problems that we have and the solution to the problems that we have. That's not to say we don't have a ton of help along the way. I've had a ton of help. I've had a ton of people that were willing to lend a hand or give me $1 for food or put me up for the night for shelter or whatever. I still call people for help at work when I don't know the answers. You don't have to do it alone. You absolutely have to cultivate relationships, but you still have to do it yourself. You are responsible for you. You have to fix yourself, and it's never going to happen. And we don't. That's the problem with men. They don't look at themselves. They look at everything else. They're external. They derive their value from the praise of others. And they then become toxic people because they need that. They need that adulation. They never look inwards. They're never okay enough with themselves to just say, you know what? I'm good as I am. I don't need your praise. For me, it's like, I want people to acknowledge me so badly. as somebody that's competent. And I never got that as a kid. And I have to remember that, like, you know what? The world doesn't owe me anything. It's, you know what I mean? You were born in this world and we didn't ask to be here, but nobody owes us anything. It is totally up to us. I talk nearly incessantly about looking inward as the cause and cure of your problems. But, like, let's say you're doing the good work. Say you are working yourself and you're becoming a self-actualized real man. You're starting to become successful. You've worked through some of the issues you have. What are your responsibilities at that point? Well, honestly, your responsibilities are to pay it forward, service to others. We need more better men. We need more men to be examples. We need more men to you have to pay it forward. Service to others is key. There is no higher calling in this world than service to others. And honestly, I don't even do it enough. I get so wrapped up in my own crap that I forget that there's a world out there and it doesn't revolve around me. So, like, the best thing you can do today is reach out to someone who's suffering and try to make their day a little bit better. And I guarantee you'll find that your disposition improves. I know this one was a bit of a ramble, but it was on my mind and I thought I would share.